Steerforth Press presents Holding, a memoir about mothers, drugs, and other comforts. Written by Karleigh Frisbie Brogan, narrated by Margie Valine. Author's Note: the events in this book take place in large part between the years of 1997 and 2003. As is the nature of memoir, the book does not chronicle every incident that occurred during that 6-year span, and instead culls and curates distinct moments that serve the story and the larger message I am attempting to convey. Though my memory is vivid and extensive, a friend calls me the steel trap, there is no way I have it all right. Memories are formed in the matrix of our own emotions and opinions. They are subjective and fallible, slightly reconstructed with every recollection. I rely, in part, on interviews with Glory Ann and my mother, conversations with friends and family members, photographs, journal entries, and other ephemera I've saved or found. I use these sources to flesh out and reanimate the memories that have stayed with me all these years, the ones that have branded my gray matter and have shaped me in significant ways. In an attempt to keep the dialogue as true as possible, I recreated it using the habitual language of each individual. Some names have been changed to protect these identities. There are no composite characters. I had grown big, but my mother was bigger, and that would always be so. Jamaica Kincaid, at the bottom of the river. We are all in the gutter, but some of us are looking at the stars. Oscar Wilde, Lady Windermere's Fan. Part 1. Mothers. Chapter 1. Eternal Substance. Holding an empty gas can, I scuffed across the service station's hot asphalt, approached every truck that tripped the dinger, every dusty windshield and sun-ruined hood. I had a story, one about my car going empty on the 101 as I was driving to see my mom, sick in a hospital in another county. I had my red plastic prop, had pigtails that made me teen, had puffy hands, fingernails caked in dirt and glitter. My breath was bad, and my jeans rode pubic bone low. Men were easier, especially when I tied bows in those pigs and rubbed a magazine on my wrists. They either dumped nickels and dimes from their ashtrays into my open palms, or told me to fuck off. I spooked women, though. They scanned me out of the sides of their eyes and snapped their heads away when I neared, glimpsing invisible wristwatches. "I'm sorry," they'd say. They recognized the wrong of me, that unfurling re-rolled, pretend proper with a whiff of rot, Estee Lauder pleasures notwithstanding. The day before, I'd worked the Costco lot, $20 in 2 hours. But I liked more the shade of the Valero station, its turquoise canopy that reminded me of a swimming pool. Its relief from the staring white sun. The gas station had a grassy curb with a miniature palm tree that looked like a pineapple. It had passers through who didn't recognize me from yesterday, who only knew Santa Rosa as a 10-exit town with car dealerships and a couple of Denny's. The view from the highway deceived. People who lived here said it was heaven on earth, with its ancient oak trees and mist-draped mornings and warm, fruit-bearing climate. They'd recite some ode, some Mark Twain quote. Others said it was an overpriced suburban shithole overrun with gang members and Section 8 housing and big-box stores, with drug addicts. The heroin I did then, in 1997, in California, when I was 21 years old, was cooked in hidden kitchens, stirred in big pots with broom handles, cut with coffee, with shoe polish and dirt. It was formed into bricks, gleaming and oily and reeking of vinegar. I bought little chunks of it, taffy wrapped in scraps of Safeway bag. That heroin is becoming extinct. It's now laced with fentanyl, strong, cheap, synthetic, and transmutable. It can't be spotted by helicopter like so many hectares of poppies. It doesn't require sun and water, nor the seasonal workers who scrape wounded pods with Jumix cans, collecting magic goo for mere pennies. Fentanyl is lab-borne. Its compounds can be scrambled, mixed and matched, made into stronger analogs. 1 million flowers within a single grain of sand, more than 1 million deaths from the start of this book to its end. It had been almost 4 hours since my last shot, and the heavy emptiness began to settle in my bones. Cussing under my breath, I forced smiles and muttered pleas to everyone who walked past where I sat on the curb. "Have a good day," I'd say to pairs of shoes. The pain of withdrawal can't be described as stabbing or burning or aching or dull. It's not something you can clutch or cradle or put a bag of frozen peas on. It's an absence that feels like there's nothing left to feel, an inky sadness that smears the sunniest day. It's like in drowning dreams when you plunge into a body of water and can't find the surface in time. In that murky, light-swallowing green, panic gives way to resignation, to the reflex of breath that fills lungs with lake, with death. What feels like survival is, in fact, demise. A Volvo pulled up to a pump. It was brown and boxy, had dried flowers on the dash, beads dangling from the rear-view mirror, and a faded bumper sticker that reminded tailgaters to practice random acts of kindness. A man, 30s, got out of the passenger side and scurried into the mini-mart. I walked up to the car and tapped on the glass. I saw the woman's hair first, glossy and middle-parted, tucked behind an ear as she studied a road map. "Hey, sorry," I said, hands steepled. Turning down the stereo, she looked at me with a face as open as a child's. She listened intently as I delivered my pitch, her brow pinching above the rim of her glasses. I told her about my stalled car, my hospitalized mama, my temporary unemployment. The lies felt like a pile of dead branches in my mouth. I yammered on, believing I could talk the story into truth. The woman rummaged through her purse, extracted a couple of dollars from its depths, and handed them to me. "Swear I had more," she said, still digging. The man returned, carrying a bag of ice over his shoulder, his flip-flops snapping, his gum, too. "Hey, honey," the woman asked, stepping out of the car, touching her glasses. "Got a few extra bucks? Her car went empty on the highway." "How about I just fill that thing up?" he asked, glancing at my gas can. He raised his eyebrows, catching my eye in our shared secret. "I'll drive you to your car, even." His gum chewing got excited. "I'm good," I said. He shook his head. "Yeah, that's kind of what I thought." The woman said his name in a tone that both scolded and pled. "Zach?" Maybe it was Luke or Dick. "She's a junkie," Dick said. "I'm not a junkie," I barked. "Asshole." I was cleaved in two. The enraged half was also the hurt half, my default reaction to even the smallest suggestion of doubt. It vibrated red and hot. My brain switched to off. How dare this complete stranger challenge the image I kept of myself? How dare he know exactly who I was, despite my best efforts to conceal it? Didn't I look honest in my petally blouse, a tiny Jesus cross around my neck? Didn't I speak politely enough? The other half was the hurt half, too, but the hurt was a different kind. It was the hurt that came from hurting. It searched for eyes, made wordless apologies, tried to find ways back into closed faces. I wanted to reassure the woman with the map and the glasses that our brief interaction wasn't a sham, that my dishonesty was honest in its desperation, its purpose. Her handout wasn't bankrolling my good time. It was keeping me alive. Mama.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?